So 600,000 people, small company, which that's a trick. So I know the Bush Center, we focus on leadership. And I know that you're also a voracious reader. And you're fond of a book by Nassim Taleb called The Black Swan.
Yeah, sure.
And it's about human tendencies to reduce things to anecdotal stories. And to shield us from sort of the randomness of the way things actually happen.
Building narratives.
Yeah. And how do
we humans
build
can
that?
create a narrative around anything. To connect any sequence of facts, we can create a narrative.
So how do you infect that throughout the whole organization when you have that many layers?
Well, I think that, what I would say about that, it's really a little different from the way that Black Swan talks about anecdotes, the way you're talking about, but I'm actually a big fan of anecdotes in business, not building a narrative structure around them necessarily, but I still have an email address that customers can write to. I see most of those emails, and I don't answer very many of them anymore, but I see them, and I forward them, some of them, the ones that catch my curiosity, I forward them to the executives in charge of that area with a question mark. And that question mark is just a shorthand for, can you look into this? Why is this happening? What's going on? And what I find is very interesting because we have tons of metrics. We have, weekly business reviews with these metric decks, and we look at we know so many things about customers and their whether we're delivering on time, whether the packages have too much air in them and wasteful of packaging and so on. We have so many metrics that we monitor, and the thing I have noticed is that when the anecdotes and the data disagree, the anecdotes are usually right. There's something wrong with the way you're measuring it, and that's why it's so important to keep you need to run something where you're doing, shipping billions of packages a year. For sure, you need good data and metrics. Are you delivering on time? Are you delivering on time in every city? Are you delivering on time to apartment complexes? Are you delivering on time in certain countries? You do need the data, but then you need to check that data with your intuition and your instincts, and you need to teach that to all the senior executives and junior executives too.
So if you're not answering your emails, can you give us your cell phone, maybe a text is... Sorry.
Oh my God.
Still have the 2 pizza rule and no PowerPoints?
Oh yeah, the 2 pizza team, we try to create teams that are no larger than can be fed with 2 pizzas. We call that the 2 pizza team rule. No PowerPoints are used inside of Amazon. So every meeting, when we hire a new executive from the outside, this is the weirdest meeting culture you will ever encounter. And new executives have a little bit of, culture shock in their first Amazon meeting, because what we do is somebody for the meeting has prepared a 6-page memo, a narratively structured memo that is got, real sentences and topic sentences and verbs and nouns, not just bullet points. And it lays out and supposed to create the context for what will then be a good discussion. So, and then we read those memos silently in the meeting. So it's like a study hall. And we do that, everybody sits around the table, and we read silently for usually about half an hour, however long it takes us to read the document. And then we discuss it. And it's so much better than the typical PowerPoint presentation for so many reasons. I could talk about this for all of our time.
Nobody's eating the pizza at that point because we're sitting around.
No pizza usually at that point.
One author said that takes you back to River Oaks Elementary School in Houston, where they started with a silent reading exercise.
I never made that connection, but you never know where things come from. I did have a great experience there. Yeah. So, but I definitely recommend the memo over the PowerPoint. And the reason we read them in the room, by the way, is because just like, high school kids, executives will bluff their way through the meeting as if they've read the memo. Because we're busy. And so you got to actually carve out the time for the memo to get read, and that's what the first half hour of the meeting is for. And then everybody's actually read the memo. They're not just pretending to have read the memo.
That's pretty effective. How has your leadership style changed over the years?
It's changed a lot, mostly just because it's had to. You know, the company has changed so much, and I can't, you know, when the company is 10 people or 100 people, I can be involved in every decision, not just, you know, not just the objectives, like what are we going to do, but even the methods, how are we going to do it? And as the company gets bigger, you know, the CEO or the founder or whoever it is leading the company cannot be involved in all of those decisions. They certainly cannot be involved in the methods of how things are going to get done. So you do have to change your leadership approach as the company scales. But the principles of the company have not changed. In fact, I probably spend more of my time now on culture and trying to set high standards for things like customer obsession and inventiveness and things like that. So for me, I'm kind of a teacher now, so it's changed quite a bit, and I have this great luxury. I love my job. I tap dance into work. Even I just got back from an amazing vacation in Norway. I got to go dog sledding and go to a wolf preserve and all this really cool stuff. But I couldn't wait to get back to work because it's so fun. And one of the reasons it's fun for me is I get to work in the future. So my job, I have very limited kind of day-to-day operational needs. You know, I've constructed my job so that I don't have to be pulled into the present. I can stay 2 or 3 years in the future. And actually, I'm always advising my senior team, the people who report to me, that they should organize themselves in the same way. We're big enough now that they need to be able to look around corners. They can't be, if something pulls me into the present, it's because something has gone wrong. You know, and we need to, you know, kind of figure it's a firefighting exercise, and that's not how you should be running a business of this scale. So it's changed a lot.
Okay, so following up with that, you were quoted as saying, "I believe you have to be willing to be misunderstood if you're going to innovate." So how are you misunderstood?
If you're going to do anything new or innovative, you have to be willing to be misunderstood. And if you can't tolerate that, then for God's sake, don't do anything new or innovative. Every important thing we've done has been misunderstood, often by well-meaning, sincere critics, sometimes, of course, by self-interested, insincere critics. But you know, I'll give you an example. 1,000 years ago, we started this thing called customer reviews. And we let customers review books. We only sold books at that time. And customers could come in and rate a book between 1 and 5 stars, and they could write a text-based review. You guys are very familiar with this. It's now a very normal thing. But back then, this was crazy. And the publishers, the book publishers, did not like this. Because, of course, not all the reviews are positive. And I got a letter from one publisher that said, "I have a good idea for you. Why don't you just publish the positive customer reviews?" And I thought about this, and the argument he was making to me is that our sales would go up if we just published the positive customer reviews. And I thought about this, and I thought, I don't actually believe that, because I don't think we make money when we sell something. We make money when we help someone make a purchase decision. And it's just a slightly different way of looking at it, because part of what they're paying us for is helping them make a purchase decision. And if you think about it that way, then you want the negative reviews too. And of course, it has been extremely helpful for people to have negative customer reviews. And by the way, it's come full circle now, where the product manufacturers use the customer reviews to improve the next generation of the product. So it's actually helping the whole ecosystem. And now nobody criticizes customer reviews. And in fact, if you were to, here in the year 2018, if some e-commerce company were to say, we're only going to publish the positive customer reviews, that would be the crazy thing that would get criticized. So the new and innovative quickly becomes the new normal, and then it's the new incumbent idea, and then it doesn't get criticized. By the way, more generally, and what I preach at Amazon to all of our employees is when we are criticized, there's a simple process that you need to go through, which is first you look yourself in the mirror and decide, is your critic right? Do you agree? Are we doing something wrong? If you are, change. And by the way, if you look yourself in the mirror and you decide that your critic is wrong, as we did with the customer reviews, then do not change, no matter how much pressure is brought to bear. Do the right thing in that case as well. Have a deep keel. You have to have a deep keel.